We have access to the most sophisticated automated hiring technology in history, yet open tech roles sit vacant for longer than ever. According to LinkedIn data, 70% of companies need anywhere from 1 to 4 months to process a new tech hire. If you are running a hiring team, you are likely questioning whether the solution is buying more AI tools or completely tearing down your current process. This chart plots the rapid integration of AI tools in HR against a simultaneous increase in the average time to hire. These parallel trends contradict the fundamental promise of hiring software. The tech is scaling, but the vacancy stays open. In fact, 93% of hiring managers admit recruitment takes longer today than it did just 2 years ago. Automating a misaligned hiring process simply allows an organization to reject the right candidates or hire the wrong ones at a much higher velocity. Consider the input of applying a highly efficient AI screening tool to an unstructured, chaotic internal pipeline. The immediate outcome of this technology is highly impressive. You can accurately screen 400 resumes in a matter of seconds. But there is a trade-off. The bottleneck just shifts downstream, forcing candidates into endless, subjective interview rounds because the initial screen was too broad. Success in 2026 requires balancing this technological speed against the human effort needed to align your team. To fix a stalled pipeline, leaders must evaluate how they screen, how they interview, and how they align internally. Fixing the flow means analyzing the required input, the expected outcome, and the hidden trade-off for each of those stages. We start with the top-of-funnel screening. The required input is the implementation of automated resume parsing and AI-led initial assessments. The measurable outcome is a 50% reduction in recruiter workload, condensing 20 hours of manual review into minutes. The technology extracts structured data from unstructured resumes to find keyword matches for the job requirements. The trade-off is algorithmic blindness. Over-reliance on keyword parsing risks filtering out unconventional but highly capable talent. Strict matching often fails to evaluate context or transferable skills that a human recruiter would recognize instantly. There is also the risk of damage to your employer brand if candidates feel they are being processed by an impersonal black box. While AI screening solves the crisis of volume, it introduces the risk of systematic exclusion if the process isn't monitored by a human. Next, we move to the technical interview experience. Elite tech interviews are notoriously difficult. Google, for instance, has a 0.2% acceptance rate. Compare that to the Ivy League average of 4.9%, and the extreme filtering in tech becomes clear. Historically, much of this rejection was driven by whiteboard hazing and irrelevant puzzles, rather than the skills needed for the actual job. Modernizing this requires replacing generic video calls with specialized platforms featuring built-in IDEs and real-life coding scenarios. The outcome is an accurate assessment of practical skills and a significant reduction in candidate stress. This diagram shows recency bias, the tendency for interviewers to favor the last candidate they spoke to. Automated rubrics in these platforms provide a consistent scoring grid that helps eliminate that bias. The trade-off here is the financial cost of specialized software and the time required for hiring managers to learn new tools. Upgrading the environment forces teams to trade the comfort of unstructured conversations for objective, realistic skills data. Finally, we have the internal alignment protocol, the foundation that must be built before a single tool is touched. We see a lot of definition drift, where a role's requirements and technical stack constantly change while the interview phase is already underway. Preventing this requires a rigid, cross-functional alignment meeting before any job is ever posted. That meeting must define the actual business problem the role solves, the non-negotiable skills, and the metrics for first-year success. The outcome is a drastic reduction in interview rounds and the prevention of stalled, consensusless decisions. The trade-off is that it slows down the start of the search. It demands an uncomfortable, forced consensus from busy executives up front. But if your stakeholders are not aligned on what success looks like, no software tool in the world can create momentum. AI tools can buy an organization's speed, but only human alignment can buy accuracy. This chart shows the 3 paths for mapping specific organizational bottlenecks to the right interventions. For the enterprise recruiter facing massive applicant volume, the required input is AI screening, and the required trade-off is active algorithmic bias auditing. For the engineering manager losing top-tier candidates to competitors, the input is specialized IDE interviews, and the trade-off is the labor of curating role-specific coding problems. For the C-suite leader suffering from stalled decisions and 60-day timelines, the required input is the alignment meeting, and the trade-off is acting as the enforcer who blocks undefined requisitions. Technology serves as a massive amplifier for whatever process you currently have. Applying this hyperscaling software to a misaligned foundation simply creates mismatched results at a much higher scale. Before you open your wallet for the next AI hiring tool, rigorously audit your internal alignment. Make sure you actually know what you're looking for before you ask a machine to find it.